Have you ever become smaller just to make someone stay? You lowered your voice. You hid your feelings. You swallowed the words you wanted to say. Deep beneath the ocean, long before she lost her voice, there lived a little mermaid who loved to sing. She gave her voice away, thinking that was love. But this is not the story you've heard before. She didn't trade it for legs. She traded it because one day she discovered the quieter version of herself was the one people seemed to accept. When she stopped having a voice, no one seemed to leave. So she mistook silence for kindness. She mistook obedience for love. Until a little lamb came to the shore, carrying a small lantern, and told her something she needed to hear. The ones who truly love you will not leave because you have a voice. Tonight, this story is for everyone who has slowly gone quiet. The evening air by the sea was a little cold. The little lamb walked along the shore, carrying a small lantern. She liked to take walks after sunset because that was when the ocean spoke the words it kept hidden during the day. But tonight, the sea was unusually still. So still, it felt like it was hiding something. Then, the lamb saw her, a little mermaid sitting on a cold reef, gazing at a moonless sea. She wasn't crying, but the lamb knew. There is a kind of sadness deeper than tears, the kind that cannot even make a sound. The lamb approached slowly. She didn't ask, "Why aren't you talking?" She didn't say, "Cheer up." She simply sat beside her, letting the lantern's light gently hold them both. A long, long time ago, in the deepest part of the ocean, there lived a little mermaid who loved to sing. She had no fancy crown. She didn't want to become anyone special. She simply loved to sing. She sang to the coral. She sang to the seaweed. She sang to the schools of fish passing by at night. She sang, "The seawater today is a little blue." She sang, "The moon tonight looks a little lonely." Back then, she believed that every living thing had its own voice. But one day, some different sounds drifted through the water. Not the sounds of fish, the sounds of expectations. Don't sing so loud. Don't be so different. Don't make others feel uncomfortable. She tried to sing softer and softer, until finally she only dared to sing inside her heart. Then one day, she met the sea witch. The sea witch asked, "What do you want?" The little mermaid said, "I want to be liked." The sea witch was silent for a moment. Then she said, "And what are you willing to trade?" The little mermaid thought for a long time. Finally, she said, "My voice." The sea witch asked, "Why?" The little mermaid lowered her head. "Because the me with the voice never seems to be understood. If I am quieter, maybe I won't disappoint anyone." The sea witch looked at her and said softly, "I can take away the part that hurts you, the part that makes you afraid of being rejected. But remember, Sometimes the things we give away to feel safe are the very things that make us who we are. The little mermaid looked down. She thought for a long time. She remembered all the furrowed brows, all the voices that made her feel too loud, too sensitive. In the end, she said, "Then take it." And so, the sea witch took her voice. But she did not become happy, because she soon discovered, without a voice, no one blamed her anymore. But also, no one truly knew her. The little mermaid sat on the reef, pointed at the sea, then pointed at her own throat, as if to say, "My voice is gone." The lamb shook her head. She looked at the ocean and said gently, "You know what? The waves never ask the rocks to become waves. The moon never asks the stars to shine the same light. Every living thing has its own way of being here." Tears fell from the little mermaid's eyes. She gestured with her hands. "But my voice is gone." The lamb shook her head again. "I don't think so. Your voice hasn't disappeared. It has just gone into hiding. Because some voices don't disappear. They simply hide when no one has listened for too long." The sea breeze drifted between them. The lamb continued, "The ones who truly love you will not leave because you have a voice. You are not worth keeping only because you are quiet. You do not need to shrink yourself to earn a place in this world." The little mermaid looked at the lamb. Her eyes held questions and longing. The lamb seemed to understand. She let out a soft sigh, like a cloud drifting into the night. If a love requires you to disappear first, then what it loves is not the whole of you. You thought being loved was a feeling of being chosen, like Cinderella finally being noticed by the prince, like a mermaid going quiet to be liked. But you were wrong. To be loved is not to be chosen. To be loved is this: you are already here, and someone is willing to hear your voice, exactly as it was always meant to be heard. There is no silence you were meant to carry forever. One day, you will gently walk through all the days that taught you to stay silent. You will meet the part of you that was afraid to speak, and gently tell her, "You can come back now." Your voice is not a burden. It is the way life proves that you exist. The lamb led her to look at the sea. The surface was like a mirror. The little mermaid did not see who she was now. She saw the little girl who used to sing. The lamb said, "You always thought you lost your voice, but really, you have simply gone too long without listening to yourself." The little mermaid closed her eyes. For the first time, she didn't care. Will they like it? She only wanted to ask, "What does my heart want to say?" Then she opened her mouth and sang the first note, so small, so light, like the first spring leaf falling onto water. But the entire ocean heard it. The coral began to glow. The jellyfish began to shine. Even the shells that had slept for so long slowly opened, because they knew it wasn't that the mermaid's song had become more beautiful. It was that she had finally come home to herself. Evening fell, and the lamb prepared to leave. The little mermaid asked, "Will you always be here?" The lamb smiled and said, "I don't need to always be here, because now you know how to keep yourself company." The waves drew near, as if whispering, "Don't be afraid. You don't have to become someone else's expectation to deserve love." On the distant shoreline, a red cloak fluttered in the wind. The girl who once learned to protect herself and the shadow behind her were also searching for the next lost heart. If you are listening to this story right now, I want you to know, to the you who is used to swallowing your words, tonight you have done enough. Maybe you haven't lost your voice. Maybe it's just been too long since someone stopped to listen. If tonight you too have been afraid to speak your real thoughts, please remember your voice has not disappeared. It is simply waiting, quietly, for the day you come back and hold it gently. Maybe you haven't lost your voice. Maybe it has simply been waiting quietly until you were ready to listen again. Because in this world, no one can sing your song for you. Good night. May the waves tonight gently return the voice you thought you lost.